Right.
The worst part of childhood, I would say, probably when there was like most people will know about Zimbabwe,
Mm.
around 2007, 8, there was hyperinflation. But
Mm.
that change in lifestyle affected many people, even children. Like, oh,
Yeah.
things are changing here, be it inside the house, be it at school. I think
Mm.
that's the time that's memorable to me in my childhood. Like, something bad
Mm.
was happening. So be
Mm.
it at school, teachers would be striking, so you'd go to school. We're not learning today, we're just
Mm.
sitting down. At home, you can see, something is happening with the parents. Oh, dad now has to go and work in a different country because that's where there's money.
Mm.
All these things, changes happening because of the state of the country.
Right. Okay. Now, you mentioned about growing up in a very happy family. Can you take us through actually briefly, about your formative years, and like in primary school, secondary school, and then you went to uni, So, and what did you read at university as well? So, if you can take me through from your primary school years, secondary school, and until you got to the university.
Okay. My primary school years, thinking of, I guess, academic side of things, uh, I think I was interested more in maybe things to do with science and maths. I would see those kind of things, but I don't think I had a clear focus of what I wanted to do in life.
Right.
But I knew, like, when things had to do with science, at school
Mm,
itself, I would do the subjects they taught us. But at home, I
mm,
liked reading like encyclopedias, science-related things, do experiments at home at the expense of my mother's kitchen. But those are things that got me excited.
yeah.
Then high school was, I think, the time when my mind got opened to a lot of things.
Hmm.
Uh, Interest in terms of sports, I started doing more co-curricular activities, and I excelled in sports. Liked cricket, I liked hockey, I
Right.
liked classroom-wise. I liked
Mm,
computers, I liked physics, I liked maths, I liked
mm,
art,
mhm.
and yeah, those were my interests lied. And I tried to do a lot of co-curricular activities more in school. So you'll
Yeah.
see me more active after your normal, let's say 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. like after
Right.
school when there is activity.
Hmm.
If it's choir, I would go sing. If it's this club, I'll go do that. If it's sports, yeah. So that's what I was
Right.
like in school. And when I got towards the end of high school, the way
Mm,
education system is, like, I guess even similar to A levels here, people pick
mm,
subjects based on
mm.
what you're interested in. I knew I liked things to do with engineering, making things, also
Right.
computers. So I
Right.
studied the sciences and computer science because that's what I
Mm,
liked.
mm,
And the goal, I knew of 13 that I like engineering and usually things to do with planes.
mm.
So I knew that's where I'm going to try and go for university. And
Right.
when it came to university time, I
Mm,
applied to do aerospace engineering, and
mm.
that's what I ended up studying. The story of how I ended up going to university, that's the testimony, but you asked what I read. I was studying
Right.
aerospace engineering.
All right. Right. Okay. So that was in Zimbabwe, isn't it?
So yeah, this was high school and primary school in Zimbabwe, then
Mm.
university in the UK.
All right. Okay. Okay. Now, after university, what qualifications did you actually obtain in terms of did you manage to obtain your degree or masters, or what happened thereafter?
Okay, so university I did got a bachelor's in engineering for
Mm,
aerospace engineering, and I finished in 2019.
mm,
And along the way, I guess we'll come back to the story of going into university. But after
mm,
that experience of finishing
mm,
university, uh, the thing maybe I forgot to mention, which was always at the background ever since I
mm,
was maybe 10,
mhm,
I was quite good with computers, like in the home. Oh, something is going on with the computers. Like someone will call me. I knew my way about, but I never thought of it as career choice, like do this as a career choice. So even in university, even as I was doing engineering, certain projects required some programming. I would take up the mentor. Oh, let me do this. So when I finished university, I realized to actually practice aerospace engineering in this country, you need a security clearance, which can only get after you live there for 5 years. So I couldn't do the job I had started to do. So I needed to pivot. What can you do? And I got a job at NHS Digital, like, oh, come do information analysis and data science. And went into that. Along the way, picked up a few programming languages, then got a job in digital marketing, then web design, then software engineering, and that's what I'm doing now. But it's like the computers, which started as a kid, they found their way to come back to the top again.
That's actually very interesting. So you build up actually your career from the early years, which should actually be encouraged actually by many our families in the homes, on their kids, let the kids actually be multi-skilled. When they're still young, you don't know where they will end up. There are some actually who are not determined right there and then which path they want to take as a career. But it's better to have multiple things around them, so that in the end you never know what actually will be profitable for them. Look at you now.
It can go anywhere.
Yes, exactly. Now, take me through your faith journey. Were you born in a Christian family?
Yes, I was born in a Christian family where my parents were both Adventists. So that's the environment I grew up in.
Right. Okay. So as a child, in the family of Adventist, parents, So what are the most memorable experiences that you remember when you're a child, when you're young, as a youth in the church?
Oh, there are many of them. Let me see if I can pick a few. The earliest I can remember, probably I want to say around 6, 7 there, when I could now read and comprehend. My dad used to take me, and I think it was like Saturday afternoons or Saturday evening. He would sit me down and make me memorize scripture. He would teach me a scripture, and we'll go through and over again until you now know it. So that was the first one I learned was Psalms 23. I think it was 6 or 7. So we'd sit down. Yes, and we would do it. And of course, as a child, you're getting on. Then we would repeat until after, like, let's say 2 or 3 Sabbaths.
Yeah,
it's now in your head. Like, let's go to the next one. So we did Psalms 23, Psalm 46, Matthew 24. That's some of the times Revelation 14. My dad would sit me down like, we now know this, and you sit me down and would memorize the scripture. So that's one of the earliest memory I have. The second one I remember was Friday evenings. As a family, we would sit down and we would sing. So my family, my parents, I don't say they're the most musical. They can carry a tune, but my siblings were very musical and probably started from an early age. So we would sit down Friday evening, which was like our Vespers. We would get our hymn books and we would just sing. We'd sing 2-3 hours. No instruments, we just sing. So you pick your favorite hymn, your favorite hymn, and we'll go through it. We would learn new songs like, oh, we don't know this one, because you'll be browsing through. Like, oh, I don't know this one. Oh, my dad, like, oh, let me teach you this one. It goes like so. So I remember those memories as a child. We would just sing on Friday evenings and memorizing scripture. But this was at home. Then in church, my biggest memory was Pathfinders. Pathfinders were very interesting. Like, I remember the things we would learn. I enjoyed the activities part. Like, oh, you can go learn to march. You can, not time was my favorite. And because it was useful, what you'd learn there at home, when you now go.
All those riff notes and.
Exactly. Like, oh, I can use this. I know how it works. So Pathfinders was also like an interesting part of my formative years.
Okay. So were you forced to go to church, or it was, something that actually just willingly, that you did without actually being told, oh, wake up in the morning, can you dress up and go to church?
Okay, so I think when I was maybe, I would say between, I guess when you're a baby up until like 7, it was just we're going there. I never put thought into I want to go, or it was just we're going there. Then around maybe 8 to 10, 11 there, I would go because I had friends like, this friend of mine. So I had friends even from school who went to church together. So like, I'm going with my friend. Then afterwards, I think Pathfinders became a big part, such that when I would go, if you'd ask me in the morning, like, what was Sabbath school, I could be hazy. What did you learn the sermon? I could be hazy. But in the afternoon, like, what did you study? Pathfinders. I would tell you the whole thing. Today we did this, this, this. Then on the Sunday, we'd go again for Pathfinders. So I think that I was interested in the thing which made me very interested was Pathfinders. And I guess for people who might not know, Pathfinders is like Scouts program we have. And that was the thing that kept me going.
Yeah, right. Okay. So yeah, that's interesting. Now, against this background, it seems, you had a very good, upbringing within the Adventist church itself, So at what age then were you baptized?
Okay. So I was baptized when I was 12, 13, thereabouts. And how it came to be, I think it's actually funny how it ended up coming to be. The church I was going to was like a church plant. It just come, and most of the people who were my age or in terms of Sabbath school classes, I think they are now gone to boarding school, and they now started high school. I was doing primary, so I looked around. The only class I could go to and learn, where I could see I can understand, and it's not adults class, was baptismal class. I went for baptismal class for the sake of learning, and I went there for, I want to say, 1.5 years. And I was just learning these things. And one day I was like, it makes sense what I'm learning. The next thing is baptism. It was that step. I didn't have a sermon experience. Say, oh, so and so preached. I didn't have that. I didn't have a week of prayer. I was just going for classes every Saturday until okay, it makes sense. There's baptism coming up. Let's say next week or in a few weeks, we was interested. Like, it's like it makes sense with what I've been learning, and baptized.
Yeah, I remember even me when I was growing up. Let me say, I think most of the churches in other parts of the world, probably particularly I think in Africa, maybe in Asia as well, they have got those default baptismal classes. Where they are always there. They are not just designed to happen, when we have a candidate who was offered to be baptized.
They're always there, exactly.
There, to encourage people to get to the baptismal class. And obviously the end game is actually to, for somebody to get baptized.
Yes.
So which I don't think it's being practiced probably in here where we are at the moment in the UK.
Yes.
Now, you got baptized, and obviously baptism comes with responsibilities, and those responsibilities, they look at leadership, So when did you get your first role as a leader, and what position was that?
First role as a leader, that's apart from things to do with pathfinding, I think it came years later, probably when I was now 19 or 20. And that was campus ministries, to lead out campus ministries. And I think when I was now 19, 20, this is now university age, this was the time where I think faith actually ended up being a very conscious thought to say, now it's your decision. There's not even pressure to say you can go, because I was, let's say, 8,000 miles from family, people who just there. If you choose, no one even knows you to check up to say you went to church or not. It's now your own choice. And the thing that kept me going was campus ministries. with seeing other students who also want to learn about faith. And
Right.
I think that time, like, you can lead out in a group like this. And that's where I think the first leadership role came from.
Okay. And in terms of school, did you get any leadership roles, like maybe a prefect, a captain, or a monitor? A monitor,
Okay.
you know.
I think those. I think from primary school they were there. Like I was a prefect when I was in primary school, but maybe in primary school I didn't understand the role or the gravitas of the role. It was just like, you're now the last year of primary school, you're a prefect. But in high school, I was made a prefect, and I was the sports I played. I was captain of my hockey team or the societies I led, so I could see like points of leadership would come up. Some of them, like when they would come up, there was doubt of like, are you sure it's like the right person? So, for example, for sports, the first time I was chosen, like you'll be captain, I was a lot of self-doubt, like, are you sure you didn't look around like there's other people? Then I was made a prefect, and once you have more roles in leadership, you can see like, oh, okay, you have a chance to develop some skills here, and you end up taking it more afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Now, looking at this, you have tremendously, achieved a lot of things in your life, in your short life, eh? Yeah. Now, what makes you actually proud, from all these achievements so far? I know you've got a lot of things coming ahead of you. You are still young. So far, looking at your achievements in life, what makes you proud amongst them?
That's a tough one. I would say the things that stand out highlights. I would say high school, at least end of A level, in terms of getting the grades I wanted to get. I think high school was a time where the system, in terms of like how the school was structured, a boarding school, our minds were kept sharp. They made sure we were on schedule, woke up certain time, slept certain time, you ate consistently, healthy meals with physical activity. Our minds were sharp, so it was good. Looking back, like, we got good grades, and the system helped us get there. And I would say opportunities to travel because of be it school or things to do with academics, like, you can do this. So sometimes I think, I don't know, maybe you know about this, but let's say from African background, we're told study, it open doors or something like that. Sometimes we don't realize how those doors open. I remember when I think I was 15 going 16, I was telling my parents, I want to study computer science when I was doing A-level. But to do that, I needed to get a laptop. And parents looking, what's the price of a laptop? And this wasn't just a normal, the specs needed were very high. Like, this is quite pricey. Like, what's going to happen? And the opportunity came up from watching television. Someone says, write an essay about if you were to use all the satellites in space to help Africa, what would you do? I wrote an essay, and when I wrote it, I didn't know what the prize was. To go to France to see a rocket launch. That's what I was aiming for. Didn't hear back for months. Months later, I didn't win the competition, but like, but you won for the country, and we'll give you a laptop, which was just needed for school. So some of those things we see in life, like how they open doors, and I think that one was I saw like, how if you apply yourself to anything, like it opened doors for other things. So I'm happy about how that moment came, and other things, I guess, just taking time to teach myself things which I thought which I didn't know would be useful later in life. But like, that time I took to teach myself that be a course, programming course. Now I'm seeing years, it's like, that time you took, now I've learned, and you had free education, something someone would have paid to go to university, because you took initiative. Now you're benefiting. So I'm happy about that.
Right. Good. 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 I also understand, Thabani, you have actually taught yourself music instruments. Can you give us a little bit more information about that? That was actually interesting when I heard that. You have actually taught yourself like the piano, the sax. Yeah. Tell us more about that.
I guess the musical side, I think, like what I alluded to earlier, of how even as a family, music was there in us growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
when I was now getting towards high school, seeing maybe exposure to instruments, a friend in high school played piano very well.
Right.
Like even when he was the youngest, he would play for assembly things. I was like, I want to learn to play like him. So I would ask him. He didn't know a lot of musical theory. So for him to teach me, he would draw a diagram of, let's say, the piano keys, then shade where you're supposed to press. But because at school we were not allowed, there were no piano access. So when I would go on holiday with those diagrams, try and learn what he said.
Right.
But I guess over time, said, "Oh, at church, try playing this song." You learn one song. You only know one song. After 2 Sabbaths, you now know 2 songs. That continuous playing, which most people don't actually appreciate. Like if you were to learn, let's say, during grades, you don't have a chance to perform as much. Whereas when you're in church, every week you're going to be forced to learn new songs, some you don't even know, and every week, and it opens up. But that was, I guess, the first thing I learned, starting from a friend, then exposure through church. Then other instruments along the way. Guitar, I went for lessons. I went for this 10-hour crash course. So I had lessons. Then afterwards, if you have interest, whenever you have spare time, you go about. Saxophone, there was lockdown. There was time. Like I think everyone in the world had a lot of free time. Like, oh, time is alive. By this, you've always wanted to learn to play saxophone. Now is the time. And I had a lot of time in lockdown. Like it's time. So I would, little by little. So I think I would practice say 30 to minutes, 30 to 60 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And you'll be surprised if you do that for a year, how much you
have learned. Yeah.
But I think the experience of instruments has taught me like whatever you put your mind to it, and you do it slowly and surely, you'll be surprised how much you can learn. And I think really is learning as an adult. Sometimes we are like, oh, I don't have time for this, or like, will I actually be able to pick up? Now we have doubts if we get the skills, but just consistent, small little efforts can take you great places.
Great. That's good, actually, and I'm still coming back to you anyway, with regarding my circuit, training. So we'll talk about that anyway at some point. It's just some. I'm winding up. Should be winding up some of the commitment I have of building. Mid this year or so. Yeah. 1 second. Let me just turn off the stove. It looks like somebody has disappeared here. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's look at when you have actually become leader or achieved some things in life. Now there is no man who is an island. We all grow to do things through others. So who has been the greatest influence actually on your life so far? And what lessons actually have you learned from from such a person?
I have to pick one. Hey, one is tough.
Yeah, you can pick as many as you can actually.
Oh, okay.
Yes, please pick as many as you.
I would say maybe different ones in different time periods.
Mm-hmm.
When I was young, I think maybe between 5 to 12, I would see from my siblings, my two sisters, because whatever they were doing, you can see like, oh, that's achievable. So even the learning of skills, like, oh, even I remember learning even how to sing. Like I was like in a children's choir, and I could only sing the melody, and my voice was so high that I would compete even with the sopranos or girls. But your friends would laugh at you, and I would go to my sister, teach me how to sing tenor. What is tenor? And they would try to teach me, spend time with me. So when I was like between 5 and 12, like my siblings, learning to cook, to wash, sing, art, like I would pick things from them. So they were like my biggest influences there. Then I'd say high school, was one teacher I had. His name was Mr. Mamgondo. He opened up our minds, at least our class. We studied computer science with him. Like even dreaming, like what can you achieve? Just coming from Zimbabwe, even the careers people want to aim for, people just know the regular office careers. You can be an accountant, you can be a doctor, there are not many to choose from. But he opened us like, there's so much more in the world. He would teach us even some university level modules in high school. Like, I know it's hard, but your mind will be opened. And I think guess afterwards we saw how much he influenced the whole class, like how he formed us in terms of our way of thinking. And I think after that, going into university, it would be probably my parents. I think when I was now in university, I was now more open to knowing what happens behind the scenes in terms of where money comes from. Like when I'm going to school, when I'm still going to school, what happens? Like I think the first time I saw my dad's paycheck, because we were applying for university and they need like a lot of things, scrutiny. And you're seeing the money, like things are not ending up, but they make it work somehow. Like, this is an outlook. It's like they make sure, like for all the children, that the opportunities we could have had, like you said earlier, about how parents can expose you to different things. They made sure that our interest in academics, in sports, in cultural activities were exposed to get enough chances so that whatever we could become, we can become. So I'll say those are my biggest three.
Okay. And then mentor so far, is it your parents or your sisters who was mentored you to be, at least to be a gentleman, of who you are today?
I'll say it's from your parents, but they come up in very funny situations. Like I know, like my mom always says this statement, like my dad will do something for her and she'll be like, you see how your father treats me? Like as in he bought this for me. Like even you, if you were to bring someone into your life, they shouldn't be coming to struggle. You see how he got me this, now I'm happy. So those things were just imprinted like in your head. Certain things I was saying with school, like boarding school was like how I was when I very different. Like they teaches you to grow up, time management, taking care of yourself, just like looking after, what does it mean looking after yourself? And I think that was something that formed me. And I guess career-wise, I would say probably my first manager, I think he allowed me to, I guess, explore. Sometimes you go in a job and whatever the job role said, you're stuck. You cannot try something new. You're here. But he allowed, you have a passion for this. You know what? Go take some time to see where that leads you. And through those, outlets to see your interests, I was able to find where my interest led to my career. He gave me freedom, I guess.
Right. Okay. So I know we in life we pass through different journeys and different things. Who has been actually the kindest so far to you in your life so far? From the time you were born to the current time we are talking now. If you have to pick kindest? One or two, or three.
I'll remove number one, and it's like, your family is going to give you kindness. So outside my family, I would say, I think the first one, maybe the friends I formed at when I first came to the UK, starting university, because I was
Yeah.
coming to a place where no family, no friends I knew from anywhere, everyone is far away. Friends I met through campus ministries, and their kindness was more than just church to say, "Oh, here's a verse," or "Hello." Was afterwards like, "Oh, how are you doing in terms of your Sunday to Friday, not just your Saturday?" They were very helpful. Not even just kindness in that sense, like what you need in terms of keeping up with life. And some of them went through a discipleship program in terms of learning about just your spiritual growth. That's where I learned most about devotions, prayer, and yeah, I think those friends were like the biggest part of that part of my life there, kindness.
Okay.
Afterwards, I would say it usually comes from strangers. I can't name every one of them, but I always have rare moments where something happens and a stranger comes to the rescue. Maybe that's how God tries to speak to me through people I don't know. Like a stranger does the thing that you want at the opportune time.
Okay. So, what lessons actually have you learned in life so far?
Oh, my very young life.
Yeah, your very young life. Yeah.
Oh, well, lessons. Oh, a couple. I guess first one will be whatever you have a chance to do. You even things that you don't like to do. Try put your all into it. You never know when you're going to need them. Like there are things which even when I was a child, you'll be taught some things like when I'm going to need this, and sometimes you skim over it. Sometimes even school subjects, everyone has subjects they like and subjects they don't like, and subjects you don't like. When am I going to need this? Then you don't put effort, but things always come back, and you'll be surprised the opportunities you have missed if only you had put effort into it earlier. Like I remember one of my friends, first time someone taught me about, let's say, a programming language called Python. This was probably 2017.
Oh yeah, Python. We use a lot of Python in cybersecurity actually.
Someone was telling me, learn Python. This was a friend I had, like, learn Python. And I used to look at him like, why? In engineering, we use MATLAB, you stop telling me all this. And years later, when I was now teaching myself, now it's helping me in my life. But I always think, if I actually started learning at the time when he taught me, I'll be 3 years ahead. And if I just put effort. So put your all into anything. And if you have a chance of learning something, especially from people around you, because they can teach you for free. There are things that are taught out there, and your friends, people around you can teach you for free. Take it. Just have a go, see what happens. I think that's like the biggest lesson I've learned so far.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, we have times, in our lives when we actually feel a little bit alone, and when have you felt lonely, in your life?
I said the biggest moments could be moving to a new country. I think that's the biggest experience. And the second one would have been when the world went into lockdown. During that same experience. I remember when I went into lockdown, I used to live in a house here, but even everyone went back to their homes. So you're in a big house, you're just there the whole day. And you are very excited even when the postman comes delivering. Because with the face, you can interact with.
Oh, you see human.
Yeah, human. So I think those times when moving to a new place and when it was lockdown, and the times when you feel like, you're just here myself.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Thabani, you are, a principled young man, and more talented, more skilled young man. I know it doesn't just happen, from abstract. There are things that you have actually built on, because of your discipline, and because of your background as well, Can you take me through, what actually drives Thabani, to thrive actually in any situation? Because I've observed, look at a church, you are almost in most of the, most of the departments that are running a church, and wherever you are put, you perform to the best of your ability and you perform very, very good. Take me through, take us through, what actually drives you to be a distinguished young man?
I think, I guess our viewpoints from inside and outside could be different, but I would say I'm not forgetting the reference. I know it's in Ecclesiastes, but something I alluded to earlier about whatever your hands find to do it for your mind, because there's nothing after you die. Might as well make the most of the energy now. And I think that's something we should always strive to live by. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's going to benefit. If you get a chance to do something, you might as well put some effort into it. And I guess the other thing is, depends on what you're doing the thing for. That changes your motivation and what's happening. Like, for example, let's say you could be working in a team, gig at work, be a church. Teams don't always have cohesion from the get-go. It takes time. And so, like, sometimes when teams are rubbing, it's just people just like, I'm going because it's not working. But if your motivation, if you know the reason why I'm in this team, there's this, this is our goal, this is what we're trying to achieve, this is who we're trying to please, it changes things. And I guess from a faith background, that changes a lot because wherever we guess we have an audience of one most times, like, what I'm doing here, it's not for me. How is that benefiting God's kingdom? And maybe when you look beyond that, it helps you with the quality of things you want to do. Like, this thing here is half-hearted. Can I push a bit more? And it changes the drive, I guess.
Right. So your faith in God actually plays a major role to, to your delivery, a model that we have seen here in New York, so and anything else that you would want to add on that?
I guess when people talk of how faith affects their life, maybe sometimes we only speak of the high moments of like, I'm feeling I'm on a spiritual mountaintop, so I'm ready. But even the low moments of faith drive things. Like there are times when even like you're feeling this is your low point, even those moments. Like I remember reading once, I forgot the reference, but it's even saying like strength to resist some temptations only comes through aggressive service. Like the power you need. Are you also putting in the service? Because that's where God is trying to teach certain lessons. So it's like sometimes we want to step away and like, I need to go clean up. Then when I feel that, sometimes we want a feeling of like, if a feeling comes, then I'll go and preach, I'll go share the message with others. But also God is trying to say, even in that low moment, that strength that you need, come help me in service and you'll be boosted. So that faith affects life either way of the rate a bit, the high moments or the low moments.
Right. Okay, let me recharge my battery. My headset says it's been calling for a battery change. Just a minute,
No problem.
Right. Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I just plugged on to recharge my battery.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah. So when you look at some of the things that you have actually done, if you are to hold actually to some memory, what would that be? And and what could be the reason behind holding on to certain things in your memory?
If I was told, remember,
Some things
I
in your
don't think.
memory.
That's a hard one. Why do I want to keep it all? I think the things that maybe that still stay in my head, moments when where there's some fellowship with people, most times in a musical sense. Those things I have them in my head from childhood up to now. Like, oh, I remember that time when we sang that, and it was in line with what was happening. I think I remember, like, even other hymns, like in my life, like they're linked to a certain memory. Like that day when people sang that. I think the first time that became so apparent, I think I was maybe 15, 16, and my cousin died, and he was like 2 years older than me. And all my life, funerals were going to the older people. It was never someone who's young. Like, oh,
young, yes.
Like, what has happened? And I remember the funeral service, I think it was Anglican Church, which is, I guess, similar to Church of England. And they were singing, what's the name of the song? Like the stars of the morning. I forgot the name of the song. When He Cometh, that's the name of the song.
Yeah, When He Cometh.
They were singing it. When the people were singing it, the part they were holding out the assurance of at some point in time he's coming, Jesus is coming again. And you can feel, you can sense when people are singing, and when people are singing with conviction. Something is different here. People are believing, like, he's coming. And I even remember years when I would go to camp meeting. Camp meeting in Zimbabwe is very big, and people would sing on the final day, and they would be singing like, today, Jesus, if it's coming, it's today, because you can feel like, people are believing it. So those are the memories that like stay very like vivid in my head of some fellowship with people in a musical sense, and it was people are believing what they're singing or.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, we are all destined to one path or one route or one destination, How do you actually want to be remembered, Thabani? I know you have got an average young life, right? So you've just mentioned about your cousin who died when you were 16, and now this is actually a guarantee that 100% that all of us were going to the same route, So when people have gathered and they are singing now, Thabani is 10, how do you want actually to be remembered?
I guess for the people who are there, to have a memory to say this person taught me something. If not taught me something, that it mattered that I was there in their life, to say, oh, if I remove him from my life, I can see, oh, this is something which wasn't there. Like, because he was there, I learned to do such and such. Because I was there, also observing him, I picked up this thing which benefited me in my life. I want my net impact on someone's life to be positive. Even if someone who didn't like me, if they come to the end like, I didn't like him, but I learned such and such from him. I think that's what I wanted to be.
Right. Okay, that's good. That's good. Now, any regrets in your school, in your faith? Do you have any regrets?
I think
things could have done better somewhere, or
I think the biggest regret, I think I already alluded to it earlier, as much as I have tried to make the most opportunities given to me, I don't think I've taken all of them. There are certain things I can say, oh, I could have learned this earlier, or that opportunity was given to you there, why didn't you take it? And most of them probably be associated with, I guess, school, like let's say university. There were a lot of things, courses or certifications you could have gotten for free, with our university because your students was discount. Some they would come and advertise and would just brush them off like, maybe I won't need this. Then afterwards, you're like, that training you could have gotten for free. Now you have to pay thousands. And it's something that people actually want in industry. When I was in high school, like certain things like, I'm not as interested in this, so do it half-heartedly. Now, years later in life, if you've done that, you never know the doors which have opened. So I guess it's more of the opportunities which I didn't take fully, or I shunned off thinking I won't need it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Any regrets for being a Christian?
Oh, definitely not. Yeah. I can't imagine what life would have been on the other side.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if you are to give an inside information to a young person actually who is just beginning in life, both as an in a school and also in the church cycles as well, in your faith, what would that advice be? Starting with this career path, and then later on, let me put it the way: start with your faith. What would the advice be to a young person who's a Christian, who's just beginning as a Christian? And then, secondly, what would be your advice to somebody who's actually beginning to take a career in whatever direction they want to pursue?
I would say, as a Christian, I would say get involved. Find there are so many facets of faith that one can become interested in. You don't have to do all 100 of them. If you think you like music and you go somewhere you see people involved in music, find a way. Ask, how can I get involved? I want to sing next week. I want to play this. Find something. If you think, I like teaching, and I see this opportunity to teach. Find a way in which you can get involved in the things that you like. Because those are the things that even when things are going bad, you don't have to be forced to do, because you already have passion to do that. So
you build a skill out of it.
Find something that makes you involved, because when you're outside, you don't grow. And in that passage of being involved, even if God is speaking to you in your area where you meet him consistently, he will also come and speak to you consistently. So just get involved. I say that's my advice for faith. And in terms of career, I would say, depending on the age, I would say be open to learning anything. You don't know which avenues life will put you in. Some things, even let's say high school, and people say, I like this subject. This one is useless, so I want to do work. You might not be good at it, but put some application. Because you don't know, years later, that's the subject that will end up being your career. Like,
your career.
Only I did taking time to learn this. So try putting effort in anything you're given a chance to do. And if you ever have a chance to actually see someone who does what you want to do, talk to them, ask them questions, because that's where you actually see what the job is like, not what you read somewhere online. Like, if you think, I want to become an accountant, and you see someone who's an accountant, go speak to them, ask them, because that's the real life insight of what accounting is, not what you read on a page like accountants do XYZ.
Okay, excellent. So what's your passion, Thabani, and how did you get started with it?
What's my passion?
Music.
I have many. I wish mine need to be trimmed down, but let's go with music for now. Let's use music. I would say it's music. I can't pick a starting point because it was there all around in the home, like the different styles, from classical to modern, time range. It was all coming in, and maybe when I was now 12, 13, that's when I could have to pick up an instrument and learn from it. And then along the way, you see that you like it, then you take some time to learn it. I guess music has been there for a long time.
Right, right. Very good, very good. We have life is like a graph. There are low moments and high moments. There are times when we are happy. There are times when we are, we are a little bit. We are low actually. We're in the valley, mountains and valleys. So, what
Yeah.
has been your happiest moment in your adult life,
Happiest
and
move.
why? Yeah.
There are too many to get from. I would say the one that comes to mind when I got the opportunity to come and study here in the UK, because it came from Norway. We didn't. I knew like what I wanted to study. I couldn't study it in Zimbabwe. There was no place to study it, and looked at the university fees for UK. Like, yeah, they were just too much. And then from Norway, as a miracle, my dad's manager was like, "Yeah, we can pay for him to go study." And like the whole thing was a whole miracle of how it came to be. And the memory of that is vivid in my head of what we were doing. I think we were planting sweet potatoes with my mom at the farm. And I remember our hands were muddy because you're planting potatoes, water the beds first, and hands are muddy. My dad is trying to call, he can't reach people. Finally get him, he's explaining what's about to happen. It was like life is about to change, and what we had no idea was going to happen just happened. I think that's probably my happiest moment in my adult life.
Right, right. Very good. Excellent, excellent. Now, you are an effective person, in whatever you touch, your delivery has been very, very impressive, or excellent, You're very well organized, a detail to the dot. Can you tell us actually a little bit, what are the principles of a good leader or a good career person, that you have actually followed, that will help somebody out there, to become effective in whatever they do, because we've a lot of things not done properly, not to the whole heart, but with a double-minded type of, delivery.
I would say things that I strive to get towards. I would say the first one is consistency. Wherever in your life you can get consistency, go for it. It can help people even know like your reliability. So if your part of life in terms of consistency is maybe it's waking up time. For some people, it's the time they eat. For some people, it's the time they go to work. But have something where some consistency that helps even with the rhythm of life. Knowing if someone was going to ask, this person, where are they going to be that time? They know they're at this place. Consistency is a good thing. I guess the next one is knowing yourself in terms of time. I think time management is a big one. Like some people say, like, "Oh, I'll be late because let's say I take a long time to dress." That's not a problem, taking time to dress. But knowing yourself, for example, knowing me, I take time. So if I want to go somewhere, I start an hour before.
Start early.
Me, I take 10 minutes. If I want to go somewhere, I start 10 minutes. So being self-aware and time management, I think that helps a lot. And I think once someone is consistent and they're good at time management, other things will just flow, even work-wise. People can know if we give this person work, we know they'll start this time, finish this time. They can manage the time well. Things will, even if you're just a foot soldier, even the person who's planning, just know, like, I can even calculate this person's hours to the T because I know their time and they're consistent. So I think those are very good principles. And in terms of working with others, I would say be open to learning. If you're closed off to learning, really new things, you stay behind. Like when something new comes up and there's a chance to learn, pick it up. Some things require you to take initiative to learn yourself. But when there's opportunity to learn something, even things which might seem this is irrelevant for now, just grab onto it. You never know.
Excellent, excellent. So, in final words from the interviews. We're coming towards the end of the interview now. So, any final words of all the things we've discussed today here? What would be your final words, to our listeners?
Just to reiterate things we've been talking before. Whatever your hands find to do, try and do it with all you can. And when opportunities in life come up, be it to learn things, to do new things, take as many as you can. You never know when you need it.
Excellent. Well, here you are. That has been Thabani Sibanda, the brilliant young man, and he's still young and he's got plenty of things ahead of him. We pray that actually God, guide him through as he begins his family life very soon here. So I understand the big day is around the corner. So he is preparing actually for his wedding quite pretty soon. So we want to wish you, Thabani, very successful, family life as you start. We are here to guide you. Yeah. Any questions you want, please, we are here to guide you as a church, and as elder people, we are
experienced people.
Experienced. Let me put it. That's a good one. Actually. Experienced people. We are here to guide you. These things should only happen once, and once you marry, there's no turning back. So make sure you put all the corners. Build all the corners with solid bricks.
Yeah.
Because there's no breaking down. So. Yeah. Right. Thank you very much, Thabani, and we wish you. And I think we've come to the end of our interview for now, and I'll stop recording. Then we can